This review will self-destruct in several minutes. Alright, you've been waiting for this with anticipation. Bond, James Bond, taking on Ethan Hunt. Now, Mission Impossible was a TV series back in the day. And James Bond had its first few runs in the 60s, starting with Sean Connery. So they were going head to head quite fast. Then Mission Impossible ended. I think there was a couple of reunion specials, one-time offs. Bond kept going. Yeah, bigger missions, more enemies, more Bond girls, and his mission's going possible. And then in 1996, a year after GoldenEye, before Tomorrow Never Dies, we got Mission Impossible, the movie. A little controversial with what they did with one of the main characters. They were going to have a cameo of some of the cast, but they said, no way. You've changed it too much. Of course, it stars Tom Cruise as Ethan Hunt. And yeah, he has his missions. There's action, there's gunplay, there's a helicopter, there's that train scene, there's a famous moment where he goes into like that safe and he's got the knife and the floor is heavily censored and he's like, that was parodied in Duke Nukem 3D. Had lots of reference to Mission Impossible. The self-destruct message, the fuse, which started at the TV show, music cues. Yeah, the Mission Impossible theme is as legendary as a Bond theme. You know, dun 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 dun, and it was used in Ace Ventura, so that's our second Jim Carrey connection. And the third is in Dumb and Dumber 2, where Lloyd goes, our word is our bond. James Bond. So that's 3 little connections with Jim Carrey. The Star Trek connection, the Mission Impossible, and the Bond connection. Now there's a bonus feature with this too, but I don't want this mission to get too impossible. Now, I know I look the part of Blofeld, I know, and referencing Dr. No, of course, that silver suit. No, that's it. I just don't have a cat. I don't know where the dog is, I don't know where the lizard is. So yeah, Mission Impossible. We got Mission Impossible 2 in 2000. Great follow-up. We got the subpar Mission Impossible 3, the awesome Ghost Protocol. Then, these sequels. Of course, the infamous mustache fiasco with Henry Cavill. You couldn't shave it because it was in Mission Impossible and all that shit. So yeah, and there's word for more Mission Impossibles. And Bond still going. You know? So when Mission Impossible 2 came out, we just had the world is not enough and we won't have another Bond until 2002 and whatnot. So, well, let's talk about Bond. So, secret agent, has main missions, encounters main villains, spends lots of time with main women, has its codes, searches for files and everything. It goes in disguise. Lots of gunplay, helicopters, trucks, car chases. Great action. Some of the fights back in the early days were a bit hammy, and then they got more serious. And in Mission Impossible's swinging early days, yeah, they were a bit hammy as well, but that made them fun. Bourne got a bit serious. Mission Impossible in the movies were a bit more serious, still had a bit of humor. And yeah, so Bourne has all the gadgets from Q, and Ethan gets gadgets from his friend. So, are they too similar? There's another series called Bourne, with Jason Bourne. He's got the same initials as James Bond. You got the Bourne Identity, the Bourne Supremacy, the Bourne Ultimatum. So yeah. Another set of 3 agents and spies. They could all work together in a movie. Like, I know I didn't touch on where or how Star Wars, Star Trek, and Stargate could work, but there's been many parodies of having the ships in with each other. It could work. Some weird planet, have this and that, but it would be too crazy. But yeah, Bond, Ethan Hunt, and Jason Bourne, they could do a mission together and just cross paths and all that. Big explosions, but yeah, so I love Bond over the other two. I'd say Mission Impossible will be second, and then Jason Bourne. There's some great gunplay, awesome action, and sweet car chases in that, but Bond has more. It's got some not so good films. Mission Impossible has the third one's not the best, all that good. And yeah, the one with Jeremy Renner in Bourne, no, that wasn't. The Bourne Legacy, all information will be here. They have their main villains. Well, Bond's got Blofeld and Spectre. Mission Impossible, so it changes. There's a different villain in each movie, and the Bourne series, similar thing. So yeah, they're all agents. They all kick ass. They all have sweet cars, gadgets. Face off villains, get with the girl, lose the girl. Got 2 with great theme songs. The Bourne, good music and everything, but it's mainly about Bond and Ethan Hunt. And they could have a crossover. Speaking of over, this episode, I'll scare you later with the next crossover.